on the basis of behavior, cost can be classified into three types: variable cost, fixed cost, and semi-variable cost. It's a direct question, direct theory question. Explain cost classification based on behavior. For your kind information, classification based on behavior or nature or variability, all three are same only. So you should know what is called variable cost, what is called fixed cost, and what is called semi-variable cost. Variable cost definition is total cost varies depending upon volume of production, whereas per unit cost remain constant. With respect to fixed cost, total cost remain constant irrespective of level of production, whereas per unit cost varies. Semi-variable cost, partly fixed in nature and partly variable in nature. So this is what the definition for variable cost, fixed cost, and semi-variable cost. In exam, they are going to ask the question, cost classification, explain the cost classification based on behavior. How we have to write cost classification based on behavior, segregate into three parts: variable, fixed, and semi-variable cost. Thereafter, you have to write the definition. Then you have to give the example also. Example for the variable cost, raw material cost. Example for fixed cost, rent. Example for semi-variable cost, landline, telephone charges, or electricity charges, because the partly fixed in nature, partly variable in nature. Important aspect is supposed to remember with respect to variable and fixed cost is per unit cost and total cost. In case of variable cost, per unit cost remain constant. With respect to fixed cost, per unit cost varies depending upon volume of production. But total cost, in case of variable cost, total cost varies depending upon volume of production. Whereas in fixed cost, total cost remain constant. But in semi-variable, up to one particular point of time, cost constant, called fixed cost. Thereafter, it's going to vary. So it will be called sub-fixed cost also. Now, the next important thing, whenever you come across this type of question, practical question also they will ask. How to segregate? If the semi-variable cost is there, how we have to segregate? Because semi-variable cost consists of partly fixed in nature and partly variable in nature. With respect to segregation of semi-variable cost, formula for variable cost per unit is equal to change in cost divided by change in number of units. This formula you should remember, because various places we have to repeat, not only for the inter but also for the final level. So with respect to segregation, semi-variable cost is there. It's partly fixed in nature and partly variable in nature. How to segregate? Further, we need one variable cost formula. Variable cost per unit is equal to change in cost divided by change in number of units. Now, I'll explain one small question, past exam question, and your study material question also. Just two more questions. So that you can understand semi-variable cost segregation. Total cost for 10 units is equal to rupees 15. Whereas for 15 units is equal to cost rupees 20. We have to segregate this semi-variable cost. Nothing but you have to identify how much the fixed cost and how much the variable cost. This is what the question. For producing 10 quantity, 15 rupees the cost. For 15 quantity, 20 rupees the cost. The same format you can apply with respect to segregation. total cost, nothing but semi-variable cost for 10 unit is equal to rupees 15. That 15 rupees consists of what? Partly variable and partly fixed cost. For that purpose, variable cost per unit formula ought to apply. Formula for variable cost per unit is change in cost by change in number of units. Change in cost, 15 rupees, 20 rupees. Difference comes to how much? 5 rupees a change in cost. Change in quantity, 10 quantity, 15 quantity, therefore 5 units. For 5 quantity, 5 unit. Therefore, variable cost per unit comes to 1 rupee per unit. That 1 rupee how to apply here. Variable cost at the rate of 1 per unit. This is for 10 quantity. 10 into 1 is equal to 10 rupees the total variable cost. Out of 15 rupees, 10 rupees variable cost. Balance 5 rupees fixed cost. This is the manner we have to do segregation of semi-variable cost. So today we have learned cost classification based on element, based on behavior, and segregation of semi-variable cost. Hope you enjoyed.